I was standing at the dock, phone in hand, heart in pieces, and salt in my eyes. Some from the sea, most from the betrayal. The photo she posted was still on my screen. Her in a bikini, leaning into a tall, tatted guy I'd never seen before, both of them laughing like they'd won the damn lottery. Her caption? Best. Vacation. Ever passenger ship, Sun Red Heart. 2 days earlier, she cried on the phone. Mason's in the hospital, Liam. He needs you, baby. Please stay with him. I'll take everyone else on the cruise like we planned. Okay? But he needs his dad right now. I dropped everything. I canceled work. I slept in the hospital waiting room. But our son, Mason? He was never admitted. Not once. He was with my mom the whole damn weekend, healthy as ever. Laughing. Playing Xbox. I was tricked. No, worse. I was used. She needed me out of the way. And now, as the cruise ship pulled in and the crowd started to cheer and wave, I stood there, stupid, waiting. I wanted to believe this was a misunderstanding. Maybe the photo was old. Maybe she was hacked. Maybe there was some twisted reason. Then I saw her. Jessica. Wearing that red floral dress I bought her for our anniversary. Her arms wrapped around the same man from the photo, walking off the ramp like they owned the world. Her sister, Brittany, followed with the kids. Everyone was laughing. Everyone except me. I didn't say a word. I just stood there, blending into the family's welcoming loved ones home. I was the ghost in my own marriage, watching the scene play out like a movie I never agreed to be in. She saw me. Her smile didn't even flinch. She walked over, sunglasses still on, sipping from a coconut cup like some tropical queen. Oh, hey, you're here. That was her greeting. Where's Mason? I asked. My voice cracked. I didn't plan what to say. My jaw was clenched so tight it ached. With your mom, right? She said casually, pulling off her sunglasses. You know, I figured you'd figure it out eventually. You lied, I said. You said he was in the hospital. You begged me not to come. Yeah, well, we both know this trip wasn't for you anyway. You don't even like cruises. Behind her, the boyfriend chuckled and walked past me, pulling a rolling suitcase. Who the hell is that? I asked. Oh, that? She said with a smirk. That's Caleb. We met at the gym. He makes me laugh. Something you haven't done in a while. I felt the blood drain from my face. She leaned in like she was telling a secret, but loud enough for anyone nearby to hear. And don't worry. The kids adore him. That broke me. You think you're ready for betrayal. You think you'll throw punches, scream, rage, walk away. But when it comes from the one person you built your life around, you just freeze. She lied about our son being sick so I'd stay behind. She took a family vacation with her new man, with my money, in my place. And now she was acting like it was some open book chapter in a perfectly normal story. I took one step back, then another. I had no plan, no backup, no lawyer waiting. Just me, a cracked heart, and 1,000 unasked questions that didn't even matter anymore. Her phone dinged. She checked it mid-conversation. Instagram's blowing up, she said, smirking. Everyone loves the pics. You should have seen Caleb dance at the luau. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't even pretending. And that's when it hit me harder than anything she said. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was who she was now. And maybe who she'd always been. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't say anything. I turned around. I left her there, laughing, gossiping with her sister like the mother of my child hadn't just stabbed me through the ribcage and twisted. But I knew one thing. This wasn't over. Not even close. I drove in silence, gripping the wheel like it was the only thing keeping me from falling apart. The road blurred under my tires, but my mind was stuck on repeat. Jessica's voice, her smile, the way she said Caleb, like he was a damn vacation prize she'd won. I pulled into my driveway and just sat there. The lights were off inside. Mason was at my mom's, thank God. At least he didn't have to see what his mother had become. I stared at the porch, the place where we carved pumpkins last fall, the spot where she used to sit with her tea and pretend we had something real. Now I couldn't even tell which parts of our life were genuine and which were just cover stories for betrayal. Inside, everything smelled like her. Vanilla candles. That overpriced lotion she always bought. I walked past the family photo on the hallway wall. The one from last Christmas, where we were all in matching pajamas. She was wearing the same fake smile she had today. I should have known then. I needed air. I grabbed a beer, went out back, and just stood there in the dark. The moon was out. Wind pushed through the trees. And I felt small. Like the house, the marriage, the family, It was all a shell. A stage. And I was the fool clapping for a play that had ended months ago. My phone buzzed. A message from Jessica. Just 2 words. Don't overreact. I laughed out loud. Not because it was funny. Because it was sick. This woman, who had lied about our son being hospitalized, who had rubbed her boyfriend in my face, who hijacked a family cruise and turned it into a lover's retreat, was now telling me to calm down. I called her. I didn't plan to, but my thumb hit the screen before my brain could stop it. She picked up on the 3rd ring, her voice too relaxed, like I was calling about groceries. Hey, what the hell is wrong with you? She sighed. Can we not do this now? I just got home. I'm exhausted. You lied about Mason being in the hospital. You took a cruise with your boyfriend. Do you hear yourself? She was quiet for a second. Then, in the coldest tone I've ever heard from her, she said, I did what I had to do, Liam. You wouldn't have let me go otherwise. You're always so boring. Controlling. Controlling? I asked, stunned. I paid for the cruise. I trusted you. And you played me. She snapped. Oh, give me a break. You're acting like I committed a crime. I needed a break from your sad little routines and your clingy, emotional breakdowns. Caleb's not afraid to live. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So you replace your husband, lie about your kid, and throw our life away for a gym fling? And I'm the problem. I'm not doing this with you, she said flatly. Figure your stuff out. We'll talk later. Then the line went dead. I just stared at the phone. My jaw clenched so tight it hurt. I wanted to scream. Break something. But I didn't. I just stood there in my backyard, listening to the world move on while mine was still burning. She was gone. Not physically. Her stuff was still here. Her scent. Her clothes. Her mess. But the woman I married? Gone. Replaced by this icy, dismissive stranger who cared more about Instagram likes than our child's well-being. I opened her closet. Half her things were still there. I grabbed an empty box and started tossing her crap inside. Makeup, shoes, some expensive perfume I bought her in Vegas. Every item felt like a lie I'd swallowed whole. Then I found something. A little red notebook, hidden in the back of her drawer. I don't know why I opened it, but inside were pages of handwritten entries. Notes. Thoughts. Plans. Caleb's name appeared again and again. Their dream escape. Their secret weekends. The hotel names. Even receipts tucked between the pages. She'd been planning this for months. This wasn't a fling. It was a replacement strategy. And I was just collateral damage. I sat down on the bed, notebook in hand, everything spinning. Part of me wanted to burn it. Another part wanted to scan every word, memorize her lies like scriptures, so I'd never forget just how low she'd sunk. But what scared me most was how numb I was starting to feel. Like maybe, just maybe, I had been dead inside long before I caught her. Like she hadn't broken me. She'd just confirmed what I refused to admit. This marriage was over a long time ago. I just didn't know it yet. The next morning hit me like a hammer. I hadn't slept. Just lay there, staring at the ceiling, the red notebook still beside me like some cursed artifact. I kept picking it up, flipping through it, reading the same lines over and over again. C's touch makes me feel alive again. He listens, unlike Liam. I deserve this. I've earned this. That last one stuck with me. I've earned this. What exactly had she earned? A man with abs and a yacht club membership? Or was it the chance to blow up her life without a single shred of guilt? I made coffee. It tasted like nothing. My hands were shaking. I checked my messages, nothing from her. No apology. No explanation. No remorse. Just silence, like I was the one who'd vanished. Mason was due back that afternoon. My mom had called earlier to say he was doing great. No idea what was going on. Thank God he didn't know. Not yet. But eventually, he would. He'd know his mom wasn't who she pretended to be. That she'd lied to his dad, abandoned her family, and shacked up with some guy from the gym while they were still under the same roof. And no matter how I spun it, some part of that truth would land on me. Because I didn't see it coming. Because I let her do it. I couldn't sit around anymore. I needed to talk to someone. I called my best friend, Tyler. He answered on the second ring, half asleep. Yo. She cheated, I said. Silence. What? She lied about Mason being in the hospital, so I wouldn't go on the cruise. Took some guy named Caleb instead. Posted it online. I found a journal. She's been planning this. It's been going on for a while. Jesus Christ, Liam. Yeah. You okay? No. He didn't speak for a bit. Then, where are you now? At the house. I'm coming over. Ty showed up 20 minutes later, still in basketball shorts, with a bottle of bourbon under one arm and that look on his face. The one that said he didn't know what to say, but he'd be damned if I went through this alone. We sat in the backyard. I told him everything. The hospital lie. The photos. Caleb. The notebook. Dude, he said, that's sociopath-level cold. I nodded. She looked me in the eye and said I was controlling, that I was boring. She's deflecting. She can't own what she did, so she's painting you as the villain. Classic move. Still feels like I got hit by a truck. He poured us both a drink. We sat in silence for a while. Then, like fate was listening in, her car pulled up. I stood. Jessica got out like nothing was wrong. No shame. No guilt. Wearing sunglasses and leggings, like she just came from yoga. Oh, she said, seeing Tyler. Didn't know we were having guests. I stepped forward. Don't what? She asked, tilting her head. Speak. You don't get to walk back in here like this is normal. She folded her arms. Liam, I don't want to fight in front of Mason. He'll be here soon. Let's talk later. No, we're doing this now. She rolled her eyes. Seriously? I grabbed the notebook from the chair and tossed it at her feet. Read your own damn words if you forgot what you wrote. She picked it up slowly, looked at the cover, and actually smiled. That's private. You lost private the minute you turned this house into a lie. She walked past me, straight to the door. You're being dramatic. Dramatic? Tyler snapped. You gaslit him, Jess. You said your son was in the hospital so you could take your side piece on a cruise. She stopped at the door, turned to face him, and sneered. Why don't you mind your business, Ty? Always had too much to say for someone without a relationship of his own. Because I'm not a heartless fake, he shot back. Jessica stepped inside and slammed the door behind her. I followed. The house felt colder with her in it. She was grabbing clothes from the laundry room like it was just another Tuesday. You need to leave, I said. She looked at me, surprised. Excuse me. You're not staying here. Not tonight. Not ever again. She laughed. You can't be serious. I'm done, Jessica. No, you're not. You'll sulk for a few days, maybe cry to your mom, but you'll get over it. You always do. Not this time. She put down the basket, walked up to me. Real close, close enough that I could see the crack in her lipstick. Let me make this easy, she whispered. Caleb's moving in with me. I already have a place lined up. I was going to tell you, but you ruined the timing. My chest tightened. You're taking him around Mason? She shrugged. He's going to be part of his life, whether you like it or not. I stepped back, heart hammering. Not because I was afraid. Because if I stayed in that room one more second, I'd say something I could never take back. I turned around and walked out. She laughed behind me, and that laugh burned. She was still laughing when I walked out, like the last few minutes were some punchline in her private comedy show. Tyler followed me, quiet now, the bourbon bottle still half full in his hand. We sat in the car for a few minutes, both staring out the windshield. He didn't say anything, and I didn't either. There was a heaviness in the air, something thick and suffocating, like grief, but darker. Grief is for the dead. This was betrayal, and betrayal has teeth. You need to protect your kid, man, Tyler said finally. She's not going to stop. She's going to keep dragging Mason into this mess like it's nothing. I know. You filing? I nodded slowly. Yeah. First thing tomorrow. He put a hand on my shoulder. Good. The door opened behind us. Jessica was walking out with a duffel bag and her laptop under one arm. She didn't even look at me. I'll come by tomorrow for the rest of my stuff, she said over her shoulder. Tell Mason I love him. And then she was gone. Just like that. It's funny how fast someone can disappear when they were never really with you to begin with. That night, I stayed up organizing documents, bank accounts, credit cards, the deed to the house, Mason's birth certificate. I felt like I was building a wall, one page at a time. A wall between me and whatever virus she had become. At 10:13 p.m., I got a message. From Caleb. It was just a picture. Him and Jessica. On the couch. In my hoodie. Holding up a bottle of wine I'd bought for our anniversary 2 years ago. She's happier now. No punctuation. Just those words. I stared at it until my eyes burned. Then I threw the phone across the room. It cracked the wall and dropped, screen first, face down. I didn't pick it up. Instead, I walked into Mason's room. I hadn't been in there since he left for the weekend. The bed was still unmade. His little stuffed tiger was sitting by the pillow. I picked it up, sat on the edge of the bed, and felt everything come crashing down. This was the part no one tells you about. Not the anger. Not the shouting. The silence. The part where you sit in your kid's empty room, clutching his toy like a lifeline, trying not to cry loud enough for the neighbors to hear. Trying to figure out how the hell you're going to tell him that mommy doesn't live here anymore. That mommy chose some guy she barely knows over her own family. I slept in there. With the tiger. Didn't mean to. Just passed out eventually. When I woke up, Mason was home. My mom had dropped him off early, left a note saying she figured we'd want time together. He came running into the room and jumped on the bed like it was a normal Saturday morning. Dad, are we going to the park today? I blinked the sleep from my eyes and nodded. Yeah, bud. We are. He didn't ask about Jessica. Not yet. I think deep down he knew something was off. Kids are like animals. They sense the shift before the ground even moves. At the park, I watched him run. Pure joy. Pure energy. No idea that his mom had detonated a bomb right in the center of his life. And I promised myself one thing right then and there. He would never feel it. I'd take the blast. I'd absorb every lie, every insult, every smug laugh from Caleb. I'd carry all of it, just to make sure my son got out of this clean. When we got back, Jessica's car was already in the driveway. She was sitting on the steps, sunglasses on, scrolling her phone like she was waiting for an Uber. Mason lit up. Mom. He ran to her. She opened her arms like she hadn't just set our world on fire and smiled that fake, soft smile I used to believe in. I stood behind him, arms crossed, jaw tight. She stood up, kissed his head, then looked at me. Can we talk? No, I said. In private. No. Liam, come on. I'm not playing pretend with you anymore, Jess. You want to see your son? Fine. But don't stand on my porch like you're still part of this family. Her eyes narrowed. So this is war now. I said nothing. She took Mason's hand and walked toward the car. And I watched them go. Not because I trusted her, but because I needed to see just how far she'd fall before she realized what she'd thrown away. She brought him back late. Almost 2 hours past what we agreed on. No call, no message. Just showed up like time didn't apply to her anymore. Mason walked in with a Happy Meal in one hand and a new toy in the other, all smiles and ketchup on his shirt. Jessica stayed by the door, arms folded, leaning against the frame like she owned the place. She didn't step in. He ate. He's fine, and he doesn't need a bath tonight. You're welcome, she said with that smug twist in her voice. You were supposed to be back by 6. She raised an eyebrow. Traffic. There's no traffic at 9:30, Jess. You gonna start keeping a stopwatch on me now? Cute. I stepped toward her, not yelling, controlled, cold. If you're late again, you're not taking him next weekend. That's not a threat. It's the new rule. She scoffed. Wow, you're really leaning into this angry ex thing, huh? I'm leaning into protecting my son from chaos. You think I'm chaos? I know you are. She smiled at that. Actually smiled. Good. Then I'll stop pretending. And just like that, she turned and walked off into the night, like she hadn't just stabbed me in the back twice and was now daring me to bleed louder. After Mason fell asleep, I sat at the kitchen table and looked up divorce attorneys. The first 3 names on the list were expensive, the kind of people who smiled in court while their clients burned everything to the ground. I needed one of those, because Jessica wasn't going to fight fair. She never did. 2 days later, she posted a picture. Her, in a tight dress, sitting on the hood of Caleb's car. Mason standing between them, uncomfortable smile, arms stiff at his sides. The caption, "Family is what you make it, Red Heart." I stared at it for 5 minutes before I called her. She picked up. Hello. Take the photo down. She pretended not to hear me. What? You don't post pictures with him and our son. Not now. Not ever. You understand. He's a part of my life, Liam. He's not Mason's dad. Never said he was. Then stop using my son as a prop in your little love story. She was quiet for a second. Then, you don't get to control my life anymore. You had your shot. You bored me, Liam. You wore me down with your clingy crap and your sad little routines. I needed more. Caleb gives me that. I don't give a damn what he gives you. But if you drag my son into this circus again, I will go to court. She laughed. Oh, you'll go to court? With what money? And there it was. She thought I was weak. Still does. Thought I'd cave, cry, maybe beg her to come back once the sting wore off. She didn't realize that betrayal like this doesn't create sorrow. It creates something colder, focused, and dangerous. The next morning, I met with the attorney. Clean suit, sharp eyes, no patience for games. I handed him the notebook, the Instagram photos, the timeline, the hospital lie. He didn't blink. just flipped through the evidence and said, "She's self-incriminated. This won't be clean, but you've got leverage." "I don't want revenge," I told him. He looked up. "No, I want my son, and I want her to stop using him like a pawn. You'll need to fight dirty." I nodded. "Then teach me how." That night, I got a text from an unknown number. "I know what she's doing to you. I have more." I froze. I replied, "Who is this?" "Let's just say I'm someone who's been in Caleb's rearview before. He's done this before. To another family. She's just next in line." Another message came through, a photo this time. Caleb, in a bar, with another woman. Not Jessica. Different girl, younger. His hand on her thigh. Timestamped. Recent. The final message. "They're not what they think they are. Trust me. Watch the cracks." I sat there staring at that screen, my pulse thumping like a war drum. Jessica thought she'd won. That she traded stability for fireworks and got away clean. But fire burns out. And when it does, all that's left is ash. I didn't sleep again. The photo from the unknown number kept flashing in my head. Caleb, all over some girl who wasn't Jessica, grinning like a man who had no leash, no conscience, no intention of being loyal to anyone. And Jessica? She was just the next fool in his rotation. But she didn't know that. She thought she was special. She thought she was different. And part of me wanted to warn her, scream it at her, rub it in her smug face. But I didn't. Because deep down, I wanted her to learn it the hard way. The same way she made me learn about her. I saved the picture. Backed it up. I didn't know what I'd do with it yet, but it felt like a loaded gun. And when you've been cornered long enough, knowing you've got something sharp in your pocket gives you back a piece of your spine. The next morning, I made Mason pancakes, just the way he liked. Extra syrup, no crusts on the side. He laughed, told me some story about a kid in his class throwing up in art class, and I smiled, genuinely, for the first time in days. That's when the doorbell rang. I froze. Mason didn't notice. He kept talking. I wiped my hands, walked to the door, opened it. Jessica. No warning. No text. Just standing there with sunglasses pushed up into her hair and a manila envelope in her hand. "Can we talk?" I didn't move. "Talk about what?" "I don't want to fight. Just give me 5 minutes." I looked back. Mason was still at the table, distracted. I stepped outside and shut the door behind me. She handed me the envelope. "What is it?" I asked. She hesitated. "A custody proposal." Caleb helped me draw it up. "It's fair." I didn't open it. Just looked at her, searching for any sign of the woman I used to know. But there was nothing. Just calculation. The same plastic gloss she wore on the cruise dock, now slightly cracked from pressure. "I'll have my lawyer read it," I said flat. She shrugged. "Suit yourself." There was a beat of silence. She chewed her bottom lip like she was debating something. Then she said it. "I know you're angry, Liam. I get it. But you have to stop acting like I'm the villain here. You stopped trying years ago. You stopped looking at me like I mattered." I laughed. Not loudly. Just enough to make her flinch. "You lied about our son being in the hospital to go screw your boyfriend on a cruise. You used my money. You played house with him and my family while I sat in a hospital waiting room crying into vending machine coffee. And now you're here telling me I stopped trying." Her face hardened. "You always turn yourself into the victim." "No, Jessica. I turned myself into a father. A husband. I trusted you. That was my mistake." She didn't answer. Just stood there, jaw clenched, as if anything I said was just noise bouncing off her new fantasy. I stepped closer. "Does he tell you you're the only one?" That got her. Her eyes flicked up. "What? Caleb, does he tell you you're special? That you're different from the last one?" "You don't know him. I know he's got fast hands and no boundaries. I know he was photographed 2 nights ago with a different woman at a bar on Eastwood. Hand on her leg. Same move he used on you, I'm guessing." I could see it hit her. Not fully, not all at once. But a flicker, like a crack in glass under pressure. "You're lying," she said, but it was weak. I pulled out my phone, opened the photo, and showed it to her. Her lips parted. Just a little. Then she looked away. I leaned in, whispered it like a knife. "He's not building anything with you, Jess. He's just passing time until the next new toy walks in." She didn't say a word. She turned, walked to her car, got in, and drove off without even buckling her seatbelt. And me? I stood on the porch, still holding the envelope, feeling the cold wind cut across my face. I should have felt triumphant, like I'd scored a win. But instead, I just felt empty. Because revenge doesn't fix broken things. It just makes you less afraid of sharp edges. Later that night, I tucked Mason into bed and stayed by his side longer than usual. He asked if Mommy was coming back tomorrow. I told him she'd see him soon. I didn't lie, but I didn't tell him the truth either. I wasn't sure which was worse anymore. In the hallway, I stopped by the mirror. Looked at myself. I didn't look like the man who started this marriage. That man was soft. Hopeful. The man staring back now? He knew better. A week passed. No calls. No texts. No more surprise drop-ins or smug little speeches on my porch. Jessica went radio silent, completely. And that silence? It said more than all her lies combined. Mason didn't ask much about her. Not anymore. I think even he felt the shift. That quiet understanding kids develop when the people they love start acting different. I tried to keep everything normal, school runs, dinners, stories before bed. But underneath it all, I was sharpening something invisible. I'd filed the paperwork. Divorce. Custody. Restraining boundaries. My lawyer said the case was already leaning in my favor. I had the evidence. I had the truth. But more than that, I had patience. Jessica had always been impulsive. She moved fast, lied fast, jumped into Caleb's arms like a high school girl chasing the varsity quarterback. But now that the fantasy was starting to rot, now that reality had slipped its fingers around her neck, she was going quiet. That was dangerous. Quiet liars are the worst kind. On Thursday, my lawyer called. "You're going to want to see this," he said. I met him at his office, expecting a document or a legal update. Instead, he slid over a printed message. A transcript from a private chat Caleb had with someone else. One of my attorney's investigators had gotten it. The chat was between Caleb and some guy named Trevor. I skimmed through it, my eyes catching key phrases like landmines. She's going to hand over her half soon. She doesn't suspect a thing. Once I get the account access, I'm ghosting. Trust me, bro, I'm cashing out before the crazy hits. I sat there, silent, rereading it 3 times. Jessica wasn't just being used. She was about to get gutted. I stared at the paper, hands tightening, jaw clenching. "This is real?" I asked. My lawyer nodded. "Verified. It's recent. And legal to submit." She gave him access to her accounts? Looks that way. I exhaled through my nose. Deep. Controlled. "Let her find out on her own," I said. "Don't warn her. Let him do it." "You sure?" "Positive." Because I needed her to feel it. The same way I did. No warnings. No soft landings. Just the sudden, choking realization that she trusted the wrong person. Again. The next day, I got a message. "Jessica. One line. I need to talk to you. Please." I didn't answer. Another came in 30 minutes later. "It's important. I know I messed up. I need to see you. It's not about us. It's about Mason." She knew I'd bite if it involved him. So I replied, "Come by after 8. He'll be asleep." At 8:12, she knocked. This time, no sunglasses. No smugness. Just her, disheveled, nervous, and twitchy like a wire under tension. I opened the door. Said nothing. She walked in slowly, hands fidgeting with her phone, then her sleeves, then nothing. She didn't sit. "I'm not here to argue," she started. "Then don't." She flinched. "Something happened," she said, voice quieter now. "With Caleb." I raised my eyebrows, just slightly. "Oh, he's gone. His stuff's gone. He emptied my account. My savings. All of it." I nodded. "And?" She looked up, stunned. "What do you mean, and?" He robbed me." "No. You handed it to him. Liam. You betrayed your family for a guy who said all the right things. Now he did to you what you did to me. Call it karma. Call it whatever you want. But don't stand in my house expecting sympathy." Her voice cracked. "I don't want sympathy. I want help." That broke something in me. She wanted help. After all the lies. After the hospital stunt. After the cruise. After parading my son around with that loser like he was some prize in a game show. Now she wanted help. "I'll help Mason," I said. "That's it." She blinked fast. Swallowed. "You were right. About everything." I didn't want to believe it, but I stepped forward. Calm. Collected. "You didn't want to believe you were the problem. That's the part you keep avoiding. Not Caleb. Not me. You." She didn't speak. And I didn't need her to. I opened the door again. "You can leave now." She looked like she might cry, but nothing came. She stepped outside. Turned back one last time. "I really did love you once." I stared at her. "Then you should have acted like it." I shut the door. And this time, it stayed shut. I didn't watch her leave. Didn't peek through the curtains. Didn't wait for the sound of her car engine. She wasn't part of my life anymore. Not really. Not in any way that mattered. I went back to the living room. Sat in the same chair I'd been in the day she came back from that cruise, smiling like betrayal was some kind of souvenir. I remembered everything. The notebook, the photos, the lies. And then I looked around. Silence. But it was different now. It wasn't heavy. It wasn't sharp. It was clean. Peaceful. I didn't want revenge anymore. Didn't care if she crawled back or fell apart. Whatever happened to her from here on out was her story to live, not mine to fix. That night, I put Mason to bed and kissed him goodnight the way I always did. Forehead, then a little fist bump, then the tiger tucked under his arm. He smiled in his sleep before I turned off the light. That smile? That was my win. The next few weeks moved fast. My lawyer wrapped up the divorce papers, and Jessica signed them. No fight, no fanfare. Maybe she didn't have the energy after Caleb drained her dry. Or maybe she knew she'd already lost long before the paperwork arrived. I got primary custody. She'd see Mason every other weekend, supervised, for now. It wasn't about punishing her. It was about protecting my son. The judge agreed. One afternoon, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was a single photo. Caleb, handcuffed, standing beside a patrol car, his face turned away. There was a note scribbled on the back. Turns out conning people across state lines isn't as fun when the feds get involved. You're welcome, T. I smiled for the first time in days. I never found out who T was, and I didn't need to. Closure doesn't always come with answers. Sometimes it comes with silence. Sometimes it comes when you stop needing the people who hurt you to explain themselves. Jessica tried to reach out once more. Texted me a blurry photo of her and Mason from months ago with a caption that just said, "I miss this." I didn't reply. I blocked the number. That was the final cut. A few months later, Mason asked me if I was happy. It caught me off guard. He was sitting in the back seat after soccer practice, sweat on his brow, grass on his knees, just looking out the window like he wasn't even asking something so heavy. I looked at him through the mirror. Yeah, I said. I am. And I was. Because I'd survived it. The lies. The betrayal. The heartbreak. The storm. And I came out of it something better. Stronger. Sharper. Smarter. If I could go back and stop it all before it happened, I wouldn't. Because now I know what kind of man I am when everything burns. And I know what it looks like to rebuild from ash. So if you're reading this, if you're sitting where I sat, wondering how someone you loved could turn into someone who doesn't even blink while cutting you in half, here's my advice. Don't chase explanations. Don't drown in why. Just stand up, breathe, and walk. Because you might not be able to change the betrayal, but you can decide what kind of man it turns you into.